The Coral Sea, a vast expanse of deep blue, is a place of both beauty and danger. Its serene surface often belies the turbulent forces that lie beneath. This region is no stranger to the fury of nature. The Coral Sea has witnessed countless storms, each one a testament to the raw power of the natural world. It is a cauldron where warm waters and swirling winds converge, giving birth to monstrous storms. These elements, when combined, create the perfect conditions for cyclones to form. In February 2025, from these turbulent depths, arose Cyclone Alfred. This storm would soon become one of the most significant weather events of the season. It began as an area of low pressure, an unremarkable blip on the radar of meteorologists. At first it seemed like just another minor disturbance in the vast ocean. But this seemingly insignificant disturbance would soon transform into a force of nature, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. As the days passed, the storm grew in intensity, feeding off the warm waters of the Coral Sea. The storm gathered strength as it moved across the warm waters, fueled by the boundless energy of the ocean. The winds howled, the waves crashed, and the sea roared in defiance. Cyclone Alfred, the sixth severe cyclone of the 2024 to 2025 Australian season, was born. Its formation marked the beginning of a period of intense weather activity in the region. The storm's presence was felt far and wide, a harbinger of the chaos that was to come. As it moved closer to land, the atmosphere grew tense with anticipation. Coastal communities braced themselves, their collective breath held hostage by the unpredictable path of the tempest. People hurried to secure their homes and gather supplies, knowing that the storm could bring devastation. The Australian Bureau of Meteorology watched with growing concern as Cyclone Alfred continued to intensify. Meteorologists worked around the clock, analyzing data and updating forecasts. Its path, initially erratic, began to show a more defined trajectory. The storm was now on a collision course with the southeastern coast of Queensland. The storm was heading south towards the populous southeastern coast of Queensland. This densely populated area was now in the direct path of Cyclone Alfred. A sense of unease settled over the region as the news spread. Residents watched the skies and the news, hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. Cyclone Alfred churned through the Coral Sea, a monstrous vortex of wind and water. Its journey was erratic, at times defying the predictions of seasoned meteorologists. It initially moved east, as if to break free from the Australian continent. But then, as if pulled by an invisible hand, it dramatically shifted course, veering south towards the unsuspecting Queensland coast. The storm's intensity fluctuated as it traveled, at times weakening, only to re-emerge with even greater fury. This unpredictability added to the anxiety of those in its projected path. Coastal towns and cities, accustomed to the capricious nature of the sea, were placed on high alert. Evacuation orders were issued, and residents prepared for the worst. The cyclone's path took it perilously close to Moreton Island, a popular tourist destination known for its pristine beaches and abundant wildlife. The island bore the brunt of Alfred's fury, battered by howling winds and torrential rain. Trees were uprooted, roofs ripped from buildings, and the once tranquil beaches were swallowed by a raging surge. Cyclone Alfred reached its terrifying zenith as a Category 4 severe tropical cyclone, a force of nature that left meteorologists and residents alike in awe and fear. The storm's rapid intensification was a stark reminder of the raw power that nature can unleash. On the Australian scale, this meant wind speeds of 165 kilometers per hour, sustained over 10 minutes, were possible. These winds were strong enough to uproot trees, tear roofs off buildings, and cause widespread structural damage. To put this in perspective, that's the equivalent of a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale, a level of intensity that is known to cause catastrophic damage. The comparison highlights the universal language of storm severity, transcending regional scales. Alfred's winds howled at a sustained 215 kilometers per hour over 1 minute, their fury enough to shred buildings and hurl debris like deadly projectiles. The sheer force of the wind turned everyday objects into lethal missiles, posing a grave danger to anyone caught in the storm's path. The air pressure plummeted to a chilling 951 HPA, a testament to the storm's raw power. This dramatic drop in pressure was a clear indicator of the cyclone's strength, as lower pressure often correlates with more intense storms. This low pressure acted like a giant vacuum, pulling the ocean's surface upward and creating a storm surge, a wall of water driven ashore by the cyclone's winds. The surge's power was immense, capable of sweeping away anything in its path. The surge, several meters high, was expected to inundate low-lying areas, threatening lives and property. Coastal communities braced for impact, knowing that the rising waters could lead to devastating floods. The storm surge, a silent and insidious danger, posed a significant threat. Unlike the wind, which could be heard and felt, the surge crept in almost unnoticed until it was too late, turning streets into rivers and homes into islands. Unlike the immediate impact of the wind, the surge crept in with the rising tide, flooding homes and businesses, cutting off escape routes and turning familiar streets into treacherous waterways. The slow but relentless advance of the water left many stranded, awaiting rescue. As Cyclone Alfred approached the coast, the full extent of its destructive potential became terrifyingly clear. Evacuations were ordered, and communities prepared for the worst, knowing that the storm's impact would be felt long after the winds had died down and the waters had receded. On March 7th, Cyclone Alfred, slightly diminished in power but still a formidable force, slammed into Morton Island. The island, known for its serene beaches and lush greenery, was unprepared for the sheer intensity of the storm. Residents had braced themselves, but the cyclone's arrival was more ferocious than anticipated. The storm, downgraded to a Category 2, still packed winds of 75 kilometers per hour, unleashing its fury on the island's vulnerable landscape. The howling winds tore through the trees, bending them to their breaking points, and the relentless rain battered everything in its path. The once tranquil paradise was transformed into a scene of chaos and destruction. Buildings that had stood for decades were reduced to rubble, and the island's infrastructure was left in tatters. The aftermath was a stark contrast to the island's usual picturesque scenery. Morton Island, with its exposed coastline and fragile ecosystem, bore the full brunt of the cyclone's assault. The powerful waves eroded the beaches, and the delicate balance of the island's ecosystem was thrown into disarray. The storm storm's impact was felt far and wide, with heavy rainfall and strong winds reported as far south as New South Wales. The widespread effects of the cyclone were a testament to its power and reach. The once clear skies were now a menacing gray, reflecting the anxiety of those below. The storm had left an indelible mark on the landscape and the people, a reminder of nature's unpredictable and formidable power. Cyclone Alfred was not just a natural disaster, it was a human tragedy. Thousands of lives were disrupted and many families were left in despair. The emotional and psychological impact on the affected communities was profound, with countless individuals struggling to rebuild their lives. As Cyclone Alfred carved its path, it left behind a trail of destruction that was hard to comprehend. Homes were flattened, infrastructure was severely damaged, and entire landscapes were altered. The sheer force of the cyclone was a stark reminder of nature's unpredictable power. Communities in the cyclone's projected path had to brace themselves for the onslaught. Evacuation orders were issued, emergency services were mobilized, and shelters were prepared. The anticipation of the storm's arrival was filled with anxiety and uncertainty. In the aftermath of Cyclone Alfred, the true extent of the damage became clear. Recovery efforts began almost immediately, with local and international aid pouring in. The resilience of the affected communities shone through as they started the long process of rebuilding and healing.